dear adventurers. It's Dozing Knight. Welcome back to another quiet evening of shared tales and wandering through worlds unknown. Tonight, we journey into the realm of Hyrule, where the legendary hero, Link, the wise princess Zelda, and the mischievous Navi find themselves entwined in another enchanting saga. This episode of Legends of Zelda is part of our cozy Bedtime Stories series, crafted to guide you gently into the embrace of dreamland. Imagine a world where the gentle breezes carry the scent of Hyrule's lush fields, and the mysterious whispers of ancient trees echo through its vast forests. Our tale tonight invites you to drift along winding paths, where the twilight blurs the line between the known and the mystical, where courage is found in the heart and solace in the stars above. Allow your imagination to stride beside Link as he crosses the verdant landscapes of Hyrule in search of discovery, tranquility, and unexpected friendships. But before we embark on this calming journey, I have a question for our wonderful community of dreamers. What is your favorite bedtime story that always manages to whisk you away into the land of Nod? Is it tales of daring heroes, heartwarming adventures, or perhaps stories that remind you of simpler times? Share your thoughts with us, and let's keep building this cozy sanctuary of stories together. If you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe to our channel to ensure you're always just a click away from your next nighttime adventure. There's a new story waiting for you each week, providing a gentle rhythm to your slumber. Now, to help ease the day's tensions and melt comfortably into tonight's story, let us take a moment to center ourselves. Find a comfortable position, either sitting or lying down. Close your eyes softly and take a deep breath in through your nose, letting your chest rise slowly and your thoughts settle. Hold it gently at the top, and as you exhale, imagine any worries or lingering daytime thoughts flowing away with each breath. Let's take another deep breath in, letting the air fill your lungs with tranquility. Hold for a moment, and as you breathe out, release any tightness in your shoulders, letting them relax and sink into a state of calm. With each subsequent breath, feel your body becoming lighter, as if you are floating gently on a serene lake beneath the moonlit sky. Inhale once more, pulling in peace and stillness to carry you through Hyrule's enchanting landscapes. As you slowly exhale, allow your mind to prepare for the adventures ahead, leaving everything else behind. Now that we've achieved a state of deep relaxation, it's time to journey to the heart of Hyrule. Let the melody of our tale guide you as we step into Link's world, where legends are born and dreams find a place to call home. The first breeze of dawn rustled through the whispering woods. Upon a path woven from ancient roots and fallen leaves, Link walked with footsteps so light that even the smallest squirrel paused to watch. He moved quietly, as if afraid to disturb the soft conversations held by mossy trunks and dew-soaked blades of grass. Each inhalation brought the fragrances of earth and wild violets, while the air itself hummed with a promise of comfort. Light, gentle, and golden slipped between the boughs overhead. Sunbeams crept along the woodland floor, turning ordinary ferns into splashes of stained glass. Every branch hung heavy with clusters of new leaves, their undersides shimmering with morning's touch. Scattered sunlit motes pirouetted in the drafts, joining dust and pollen on a silent dance. A pair of robins flitted from limb to limb, trading trills so bright and clear they seemed to stitch the woods together. Link's blue eyes lingered on the beauty around him. The woods sheltered him as they had so many times before, and he felt the peace found only among old trees and drowsy shadows. He paused when he came upon a cluster of wildflowers, bent his head, and watched a honeybee tumble drunkenly from blossom to blossom. Each tiny buzz blended into the songs of the wrens, warblers, and the distant, drowsy hoot of a lone owl surrendering the night. Somewhere high above, a gentle wind shimmered through the highest leaves, making them shiver in waves. Their whispers seemed full of secrets and stories spun long before Link's first steps. Every breath he took was a lullaby, and every sight a soft comfort. Sunlight traced the contours of his green tunic and glistened on the hilt of his sword, though there was no hint of danger here, just the warm, open certainty of safety. He wandered a slow curve in the path, each step falling in rhythm with the heartbeat of the woods. Twigs cracked softly underfoot. Acorns, fresh as the morning, spotted the earth and caught the light, and overhead the canopy shifted in an endless play of shadow and gold. Here, where the world was muffled by moss and soft soil, Link felt the pull of reverence for every tending root and patient stone. A fox cub, small as a curled fist, blinked from a tuft of bracken. It watched him with dark, dew-bright eyes, and Link nodded in greeting, sending no more alarm than a passing puff of wind. He respected the law of the woods: walk quietly, listen well, and leave no mark but memory. Birds' melodies, layered and musical, seemed to beckon him onward, deeper into the embrace of the trees. Further along, the woods opened to a clearing where sunlight poured down in a buttery haze. Link steadied himself at the threshold, savoring the warmth as if it promised endless summer days. He leaned against the trunk of an old cedar, shaped by storms and years, and traced the rough lines of bark beneath his fingers. The world slowed. Even his own pulse seemed to match the meditative pace of this gentle wilderness. Several sparrows tittered in the undergrowth, joined by the distant trill of a lark. The softest rustle in the grass revealed a slow-moving hedgehog, nose twitching in the gentle air. Light played upon Link's hair and shoulders, coaxing from him a small, contented sigh. He knelt to watch tiny ants navigate their secretive tracks beneath a toadstool, marveling at their silent, ceaseless industry. Time in the whispering woods was different, measured in the flickering patterns of light and the long exhalations of trees, not in minutes or hours. Here, Link felt less the hero of legend and more a cherished guest in the wide, leafy halls of nature. Every sensation built a cocoon of safety around him. At any moment, a trill of birdsong or a patch of trembling sunlight was all that called for his attention. A gentle breeze nudged him onward, carrying scents of pine and distant rain. Guided by the woodland's quiet encouragement, Link carried the morning calm with him, ready to greet whatever the day might bring. In this serene, green world, even the stories of adventure that awaited seemed softened, their edges made gentle by nature's perennial lullaby. Beyond the calm of the woods, nestled in a valley brushed by gentlest sunlight, Link followed a winding trail as it broadened into cobbled paths. The whispering woods gave way to open skies and the first glimpses of thatched rooftops, their patchwork reeds golden and sun-warmed. He slowed, savoring the change. The air here carried the faintest hint of fresh bread and sweet summer fruit. Birdsong softened, replaced by the distant melody of laughter. Ahead stretched a village embraced by stone walls, half conquered by climbing roses. Children's voices called across gardens, their play spilling into the narrow lanes. Link's boots clattered quietly on the stones as he entered, his presence met first by a chorus of gentle greetings. The first villager he met was Elma, rosy-cheeked and swift of step, pinning clean linens in the morning breeze. "Good morning to you, Link," she called, offering a warm smile that matched the sun's own glow. Her eyes, blue and clear as the summer sky, flickered with recognition and quiet joy. He responded with a nod and a gentle, respectful bow. A hero, but a friend to all. Market stalls lined the main square, each one a rainbow of ripe apples, soft cheeses, and intricately woven cloth. The baker, Halvard, waved flour-dusted hands and insisted the traveler taste a honeyed roll, warm from the oven and redolent of cinnamon. Link accepted, savoring each soft, sweet bite as the village quietly unfolded its gentle rhythms. Moving along the cobbles, Link found himself pausing at every turn. A blacksmith hard at work in the warmth of his forge, laughter spilling from an open window where elders gathered for morning tea. Through a narrow lane, he glimpsed a blossom-laden orchard, the branches stretched low in lazy arcs. Elderly Mirabelle, leaning on her cane, greeted him with stories of the old days, tales of courage and the legends that fluttered like sparrows through local lore. Once, on a morning much like this, Mirabelle began, her voice soft. The great fairy appeared by the well, bringing luck to the orchard for many moons. She smiled at Link, her words weaving a quiet charm that seemed to linger in the air. Villagers paused, savoring the story, their faces bathed in the soft amber light that filtered through the open doors and windows. Children tugged at Link's tunic, bright-eyed and eager for his attention, holding up posies and humble treasures found in the meadow. Feathers, smooth stones, a glimmering beetle wing. He knelt, listening earnestly, as they shared their smallest victories. Lost kittens found, flowers gathered for a grandmother's table. Their simple joys felt like precious gifts, each story a gentle reminder that heroism sometimes lay in simple kindness. The cobbled streets twisted between gardens, each plot bursting with blooms, marigolds, cornflowers, climbing sweet pea. Brushing past, Link noted the care every hand gave to this silent chore, the pride in each carried basket and weeded row. Overhead, laundry swayed in soft rhythm, like sails waiting for the gentlest wind. Near the fountain, an old man strummed a battered lyre. His tunes drifted upward, mingling with the distant hum of bees and the lowing of cattle in glimmering pastures beyond the walls. Drawing nearer, Link listened to the verses, stories woven of old battles, wise healers, and the laughter that always returned after storms. Every note seemed to settle the heart, offering a kind of peace rarely found in wildlands. Resting on a stone ledge, Link let his gaze wander. Each face told a chapter of the village's own story, of patience, endurance, and a joy rooted in the ebb and flow of seasons. He realized that the quiet here was not the hush of emptiness, but a living, breathing peace, composed of every shared meal, each remembered tale, every hope spoken in gentle confidence. As the sun continued to climb, villagers gathered to recount legends beneath the spreading boughs of an ancient oak. A pot of herbal tea made its way around the circle, and the youngest children slipped into their mother's arms, lulled by the comfort of voices and steady hands. Link listened as stories meandered, each retelling honoring heroes of old, but always returning to themes of togetherness, the gentle heroism of daily life. With each tale, each friendly greeting and lingering song, Link felt the gentle strength of the quiet village swirl around him. It was a tapestry of warmth, woven from smiles, memories, and dreams passed down through generations. Here, in restful company, the journey's start felt lighter, as though the peace of the valley itself became another companion on the road ahead. At the village's edge, cobbled streets yielded to a narrow, winding path bordered by wildflowers and whispering grass. Link pressed on, curiosity leading him toward a place whispered of in stories, but rarely visited at this hour. He followed the babble of water until the woods parted to reveal the ancient stone bridge arching gracefully over a murmuring brook. Moss and lichens adorned every weathered stone, softening the bridge's solemn lines. Each block seemed etched with time's signature, smoothed by countless seasons of wind and rain. Ivy trailed along its sides, weaving a green tapestry that shimmered when the light shifted. The tender gurgle of the brook below echoed beneath the arch, casting cool shadows and inviting thoughts to deeper places. Link paused at the verge, hands resting lightly on the bridged parapet. The coolness of the stone seeped into his palms, a quiet reminder that this crossing had stood since long before his own first steps. Swaying reeds caught bits of sunlight and shook them loose in droplets of gold across the water's surface. Swallows danced above the current, their wings sketching patterns older than memory. Taking a deliberate, thoughtful breath, Link set foot upon the bridge. The stones bore his weight easily, just as they had carried generations before him. As he walked, the delicate music of the brook swelled in his mind, a gentle undertone to the rustle of cottonwood branches. Every ripple beneath the arch carried hints of laughter, tears, and long-forgotten moments, all woven together by the patient hand of time. He paused at the midpoint, where the arch rose highest, and the view stretched far in both directions. The brook, framed by wild hedgerows, sparkled as it wound away through meadows before vanishing beneath a tangle of elderberry and willow. Small trout darted in playful shoals, their silver sides flashing just beneath the surface. Dragonflies hovered, their delicate wings flashing with the color of jade. Leaning over the stone, Link watched the play of water on rock. He listened to the brook's secrets, its voices soft yet insistent, murmuring old tales to any willing to hear. Here, the water spoke of gentle rain, sleeping earth, and the slow, patient mending of each worn stone. He imagined all who had crossed before him, merchants and shepherds, children chasing the fading light, lovers whispering promises by moonrise. A quiet hush hung about the bridge, as if the entire world had paused to remember. A pair of doves landed near Link, their coos blending with the flow and lending the moment a soft undertone of companionship. It was easy, sheltered in this steady calm, for him to let the weight of legend slip quietly from his shoulders and to simply be a pilgrim, a witness to the gentle endurance of the land. He closed his eyes for a moment, savoring the feeling of belonging. The history of Hyrule was written here in stone and water, in moss and echoing laughter. With every passing breeze, stories seemed to unfurl and float away downstream, carried toward green meadows and sleepy groves further on. The bridge was not merely a way across, it was a seam in the quilt of the country, binding bank to bank, moment to moment. As the sun reached its lazy apex, casting luminous dapples on the water's swirling surface. Link lingered a little longer. He traced the mortar lines with his fingers, feeling gratitude for the quiet strength that had allowed so many to journey on in safety. Below, the brook's course hinted at more adventures ahead, fields to cross, meadows to rest in, friends yet unseen. Finally, Link stepped from the bridge's gentle arch. As he did, the whispering brook seemed to call a promise after him, a reminder that the gentlest places sometimes hold the richest memories. With peace stitched firmly into the hem of his tunic, he continued, leaving the ancient stones to keep their watch, patient as ever, over all who would pass that way. From the hush of the ancient bridge, Link's path curved gently, guided onward by the coaxing melody of hidden waters and the faint hum of wildflowers nosing through the air. Ahead, the woods thinned by slow degrees, tree trunks yielding to sun-drenched grass. The ground sloped into a wide and generous meadow, its edges dreamed into golden life by the soft hand of the setting sun. The meadow awaited him like a waiting quilt, stitched in hues of honey and soft green, swaying under the wind's invisible brush. Each blade caught the shrinking day's last whispers and shimmered, trembling, as if in a waking dream. Link paused just at the threshold, letting the hush fall over him. He watched as the tall grasses leaned in measured cadence, bowing to the west where light gathered, thick and lazy, pooling at the edge of distant copses. Link stepped forward, careful not to crush any more than he must, the sweet herbal scent of crushed clover rising as his boots pressed into the earth. Above, a pair of larks pirouetted, singing gleeful notes that trailed through the air like silvery ribbons. Each note felt like an invitation, a summons deeper into this gentle, swaying world. As he moved, Link ran his fingers lightly along the tops of the tallest stalks, feeling their slender resilience and taking comfort in their easy surrender to the breeze. Shadows lengthened, painted violet where the meadow grasses rose highest. The western sky unfurled its pageantry, roses and saffron running together, gilding the clouds. From somewhere unseen, the laughter of a child drifted, distant but lingering like a half-remembered tune. Link's heart answered with a quiet gratitude, for in this wide meadow, time seemed to spill slow and unhurried, each moment gently stretched by wind and waning light. In the gentle hush, crickets tuned up their evening orchestra. The chirp and subtle drone mingled with the soft sigh of grass, while dandelion seeds twirled weightless in languorous spirals. Link watched their progress, watching as each silver seed bank sailed over clover and daisy, their small, hopeful journeys buoyed by the promise of distant ground. At the meadow's core, a ripple of wind curled briskly, lifting Link's hair and fluttering the pale green hem of his tunic. He turned toward its source, drawn as if by instinct, and found himself gazing at a slight hollow where yellow buttercups clustered in hidden comfort. A well-trodden path lay here, faint but certain, pressing through tangled green and dusted here and there with the gold of fallen petals. Link crouched, tracing the sturdy footprints in the soil. Judging by the pressed grass and the confidence of each print, the path was familiar, first to the creatures of this field, then perhaps to travelers like himself. He followed it, trusting the gentle rhythm of the meadow's edge, letting the wind and warmth guide him onward. In every step, the soft thud of his boots found harmony with the ground, as though the earth itself wanted to remember every footfall. Behind him, the sun leaned lower, kissing the rim of the world. Ahead, the path curved deeper into a hush, where grass grew tall and undisturbed. Link didn't hurry. He let the meadow's slow magic seep in, noticing how even the smallest petal was gilded in gold, how even the breeze felt spun from music and mellow dreams. As he meandered, Link glimpsed the first hints of a darker green rising on the horizon, a promise of trees more ancient and shadowed, waiting at the far edge of the light. Above, the sky layered itself in blue and lavender, while a lone owl called, as if blessing the weary traveler's progress. Here, at the very border where meadow met the whispering eaves of the forest, Link let himself breathe deeply. Sunlight slanted through the grasses, and wild bees traced lazy circuits through foxglove and thistle. The world held its breath while he watched and listened, toes pressed softly into the living tapestry beneath. In that quietly golden moment, the path before Link promised stories yet unwritten, deeper green secrets just a step ahead. When at last he moved forward, it was with the gentle contentment of someone who knows there is time enough for every story, enough warmth in each sunbeam to carry him onward, deeper into the sheltering dusk. Dusk gathered in gentle curtains as Link moved from sunlit meadow to the threshold of the forest. Trees rose before him, ancient and dignified, their trunks brushed deep brown and their crowns merging in a tapestry of darkening green. A hush settled here, different from the open meadow's vibrant chorus. It was the hush of long memory, a hush heavy with stories spoken and unspoken, swirling beneath moss and bark. The forest welcomed with a slow, resonant murmur. A breeze threaded through columns of oak and birch, rustling high branches, carrying with it the age-old secrets of leaves and shadows. Around Link, roots curved and vanished into soft loam, and stones sat moss-shrouded and wise, keeping counsel over seasons untold. Each step drew him into a world where time itself seemed to echo, stretching back beyond memory's shores. The deeper Link walked, the more tangled the paths beneath his feet. Fallen twigs crackled softly under his boots, their snap a brief punctuation in the tranquility. Every so often, the sun managed to pierce the canopy, sending coins of light spinning to the forest floor, gilding ferns and painting lazy spirals upon exposed roots. High in the boughs, the hush was broken only by an occasional jay's call or the rhythmic tapping of a distant woodpecker. Link rested his hand upon an old oak, its bark ribbed and cool beneath his palm. He closed his eyes, letting the tree's heartbeat, silent but steadfast, throb faintly against his own. There in the dark, the forest seemed to speak, not in words, but in feelings. Comfort, endurance, memory. Every breeze brought the scent of damp earth and new leaves, underpinned by the distant thread of wildflowers growing even here, hungry for slender shafts of light. Around a low curve in the forest path, Link discovered another way. Faint footsteps pressed into soft moss, and narrow trails winding through ferns taller than his knees. The hidden tracks felt secret, a kind of invitation extended only to those who lingered, listened, and respected the hush. He crouched to examine a set of delicate paw prints near the roots of an elm, marveling at how many lives crossed and intertwined through these woods, each leaving its mark upon the ancient soil. Above, the wind's voice softened into whispers, as if the canopy itself wished to tell stories, legends of lost travelers, echoes of old laughter, and the songs of owls who knew all the hidden places. Link moved slowly, tending to every sound and movement, his heart tuned to the quiet marvel of everything surrounding him. The forest did not hurry. In its slowness resided a kind of wisdom, patient as stone and generous as rain. Unhurried, Link found himself drawn to a circle of stones half buried beneath bracken. They stood like silent sentinels, warm from the day's memory, their surfaces carved with mossy runes. Kneeling, he traced a finger over their cool ridges, recalling tales of forest guardians and days when magic ran stronger than rivers. For a quiet breath, the present fell away, replaced by the soft thrum of history pressing close. So many voices, so many dreams. Rising, Link allowed his journey to bend toward a path shaped by roots and time. Sunlight continued to wane, turning the forest's depths into mysterious pools of shadow and gleaming bronze. Distantly, the piping of a nightbird echoed, swirling in and out of reach. Beneath that ethereal call, the hush thickened, beckoning him onward with promises of marvels not yet glimpsed. At every turn, the forest offered new wonders. A hollow log crowded with mushrooms in delicate tiers, a spider's web catching the last of the sunlight, its threads trembling like tiny strings of silver. Above all, there was the abiding sense of presence. From the smallest leaf to the towering trunks, each part of a living, dreaming whole. Link felt himself growing quieter, his movements attuned to the slow, breathing rhythm of the woodland. By now, darkness had seeped between the boughs, turning the world to indigo and twilight blue. Still, the path ran on, curling deeper into the mysterious heart of the ancient woods. Link felt the soul of the forest, vast, patient, generous, thread through his own, gifting him with its echoes and gentle mysteries. Drawing his cloak around him, Link pressed on, drawn by the promise of starlight glimpsed through the leaves. The forest, deep and remembering, watched over him as he moved, ensuring each step carried him closer to its most hidden and hallowed places. The forest darkened and deepened, moonrise slipping through branches and dappling the tangled ground in silver. Every footfall that Link took now seemed buffered by the gentle hush of solemn trees, their lofty limbs filtering starlight into slender, luminous streams. He moved with the reverence of a guest invited to linger where few had ever dared, heart listening for stories carried not in words but in wind and shadow. Soon, the path softened yet again. Moss grew thick beneath Link's feet, cradling each step in feathery silence. Wild violets clustered at the base of a gnarled tree, nodding gently in the night breeze. As he followed the faint light, the forest's density faded just enough to reveal a remarkable clearing. Here, the moon had woven a tapestry of silver, spilling light so softly upon the ground that the glade seemed aglow from within, a lantern lit for those who honored quiet and the mysteries of night. The glade was a circle bordered by elder trees, their trunks straight and dignified, their upper branches housing an unbroken crown. Within this sacred space, time slackened its hold. The hush was profound, broken only by the faintest chorus, a distant owl's call, the twinkle of water from a hidden rill, the rustle of leaves as a night breeze performed its quiet dance. Link stood at the edge, hesitant at first to cross into such hallowed ground, but the soil seemed to beckon him, and the moonlight curled lovingly at his heels. He stepped forward, boots soundless upon the mossy tapestry. As Link approached the glade's silent heart, he felt the world beyond its bounds soften and melt away. Worries dissolved, the past stilled, and the future quieted. Here, only the glowing present remained. In the exact center, a solitary stone rose from a pool of moonlight. It was smooth and old, streaked with age, yet unyielding. Kneeling beside it, Link traced the glossy surface, marveling at how the cold stone seemed to hum beneath his fingertips. A secret song reverberating with echoes of enchantments long faded. Looking skyward, Link saw the stars caught in the arms of the trees, their ancient lights scattered across velvet blue. Between the gentle shimmer of leaves, the full moon hung ripe and unhurried, watching over the glade with comfort as deep as sleep. Fireflies bobbed in lazy spirals. Tiny orbs drifted here and there, shimmering whenever the beams of moonlight found them. Reclining against the stone, Link let himself fully surrender to rest. He listened to the hush, a symphony crafted by breeze and loam, by the broad green arms of the forest that encircled this place. Every inhale brought a crisp clarity, every exhale released his burdens. He gazed at the patterns of moonlight weaving across his hands, dancing, shifting, whispering to him of peace. Time became gentle here. The air pulsed with quiet energy, and every living thing, from smallest moth to tallest pine, seemed bound together within a spell spun from memory and hope. Link's eyes traced the lines of lichen on the stone, the delicate unfurling of petals on a night-blooming wildflower. Everything was drenched in silver. Everything was touched by calm. For a time, Link simply breathed in stillness, his heart swelling with gratitude. He felt the glade's mystical aura folding him inside a cocoon of rest. The hush here was profound, yet filled with unseen life. Every blade of grass, every shimmer of water, pulsed with the wisdom of dreams. He found himself smiling, his worry and wandering set aside as starlight gathered softly in his hair. Beneath the arch of the watching trees, Link rested at last. No distant fears found him in this sacred pocket of night. Only the soft sigh of the wind, only the song spun by the moon and by all things that loved silence, kept company with him now. The glade seemed itself to breathe around Link, a gentle, unending exhale of belonging. Within the softened cradle of moonlight, sleep tiptoed nearer, bearing dreams spun from mist and memory. And as Link yielded, eyes closing, the night grew deeper, and the old magic of the forest promised safe passage through every shade of twilight, until morning beckoned once more. Past the silent embrace of the moonlit glade, Link wandered, drawn onward by a silvery murmur that wound through the stillness. A gentle sound, neither song nor speech, but something ancient and endlessly soothing. Grass parted before his boots, moisture collecting in tiny beads along his path, patching the night with a faint emerald shine. The air just ahead cooled softly, promising the welcome touch of water. It was not long before the twisting trees pulled back and revealed the gentle river, broad and placid in the starlight. The river curled through the woods with an easy certainty that made Link's burdens seem lighter and the world wider by measure. Along its edge, smooth stones shone like moon coins sewn in the silt. Willows nodded their trailing hair into the current, slender fingers tickling the surface, while reeds whispered secrets to the wind. Link knelt by the nearest bank and cupped his hands in greeting. Water slipped gladly into his palms, cool and clean and bright with the taste of mountain and sky. He drank slowly, savoring the crispness, feeling the river's life ripple through his body. A hush settled with him, the kind that asked for neither word nor answer. The only company was the river itself, endlessly flowing, carrying with it the stories of wood, root, moss, and stone. From his perch on a flat, sun-warmed rock, Link let his eyes wander over the slow eddies and the glimmer of schools of tiny fish weaving through shadow and moonbeam alike. Beside the water, he removed his boots, dipping bare feet into the gentle flow. The coolness sent a shiver up his calves, a tingle that loosened remnants of fatigue from the long walk beneath the boughs. The river sang a peaceful tune, weaving a lullaby from the unhurried lap of water on stone and the soft rustle of current against fallen branches. Frogs hummed in hushed tones beneath the overhang of ferns. Somewhere upstream, an owl called out once, her pale shape ghosting briefly through the darkness before all became quiet again. Beneath this sapphire sky, the gentle river spoke of patience and belonging, and the kind of hope found only in restful places. Link breathed deep and watched the moon's reflection slide along the surface, traveling beside a flotilla of drifting leaves. His thoughts circled in calm, turning over the steps that had carried him from the whispering woods, through gold-touched fields and secret glades, to this soft-breathing riverbank. He marveled, not at deeds of courage or quests unwon, but at the simple serenity that each place allotted, a different gift granted at every turn. Each pause had deepened his spirit, teaching him again that the journey itself was its own quiet reward. A hush of wind rippled through cattails. Somewhere, bugs played their nighttime violins. The melody of the river gathered in Link's mind, soothing aches he hadn't known he carried, smoothing the gentle folds of weariness that travel lays upon the heart. The woods, the glade, the meadow, they lingered with him like pressed leaves held between the pages of old stories. Even the smallest pebble or petal beside the river seemed to hum with contentment. Link leaned back onto both hands, eyes drifting towards the open sky above. There, a parade of clouds wandered across the moon, each one trailing silver ribbons, making the world feel even softer and more dreamlike. A single star, bold and bright, hung just above the trees, its reflection quivering in the water, as if to reassure him. All was well, all would be well. Time pooled gently around Link, collecting in eddies and circling out again. He listened, and the river's music promised rest, a slow lullaby tumbling on and on into forever. For that night, on the mossy lip of the riverbank, with the air smelling of water and shaded by trees that had watched centuries pass, Link found peace as real and enduring as the stones beneath his feet. Warmed from within, soothed by water's persistent grace, Link rose at last and followed the river downstream, feet light as mist. The river's gentle murmur stayed with him, a melody sinking deep into his bones. He would carry it forward, a secret talisman of calm, wherever his path led beyond this dreaming hour. Eventually, the gentle river's winding grace delivered Link to a rare quiet, where the land unfurled itself into a small cove, cradled by sheltering cliffs and overhanging trees. Here, the river's journey met the wave-lit embrace of the greater lake, and their whispers became the soft, endless hush of night. At the boundary of sand and silvered water, Link paused, his every step finding harmony with the rhythm of the shore. Moonlight flooded the cove. It poured itself in gentle ribbons across the lapping waves, painting white trails along the darkened surface. Each wave was a subtle lullaby, rising soft along the sand and falling back again with a contented hush. The beach had an untouched feel, grains of wet sand glistening like fields of pearl under the velvet sprawl of night. Link moved quietly, as though afraid to disturb the tranquility stitched through every piece of driftwood and every shell half buried in the tide line. He found a spot where the land arched inwards, framing the lake like cupped hands. Here he sat, boots set aside, letting the cool kiss of moist sand and the faded warmth of stones press gently up through his palms. Before him, waves barely larger than sighs broke and retreated, the motion so soothing it seemed the world might exhale forever without ever depleting itself. Above, the sky revealed its wealth, a sweep of midnight blue scattered with sleepy constellations. The stars blinked softly, not sharp or cold, but warm with secret stories. The moon presided, queenly and calm, its reflection drifting lazily across the water beside Link's own slight silhouette. He watched as the moon sailed, unhurried, breaking apart with each ripple and then knitting itself whole again. The dance of light felt like a promise, a sign that endings might always be rejoined in unexpected beauty. The cove was very still now, save for the lullaby of the waves and the distant echo of a nightbird's call. Somewhere close by, a family of sand crabs scuttled in comically patient procession, their tiny bodies leaving winding trails behind them. A breeze, soft as a mother's hand, carried the faint scents of lakeweed and blooming water lilies kissed by night dew. In this restful place, even Link's breathing took on the cadence of the cove, slow, deep, attuned to the ancient harmony of earth and water. Link gazed out over the cove, marveling at its deep tranquility. The cares of his journey, the urgency of distant kingdoms and secrets yet uncovered, seemed to dissolve here, replaced by an abiding sense of belonging. Each wave told him to let go. Every star overhead reminded him that rest was not a sign of weakness, but a gift, a sanctuary promised to those who wandered far and dared to pause. Listening closely, Link discovered new layers within the night's music, the faint creak of reeds shifting on the breeze, a distant frog's solitary song, the near inaudible hush of feathers as an owl glided over water, all blended together, weaving a blanket of sound that made the cove's hush even deeper and more profound. The very shape of the land seemed made for shelter, folding around his tired bones and offering quiet as soft as moss. Slowly, Link lay back in the sand, tension flowing from his limbs. The world above gleamed in reflection, moon, stars, and a dim halo of distant cloud, while the waves before him broke and reformed, ever patient, ever kind. The night pressed close but not oppressive. It was generous, full of peace sifted down from heights unknown. Not far away, a pair of fireflies circled, their tiny lanterns swaying to a silent tune. The world shrank to the intimate hush of water and the luminous company of moon and stars. Wrapped in this gentle embrace, Link felt his spirit become light as a raindrop, willing to drift at ease with all things. That night, as wave after gentle wave kissed the shore, Link drifted towards sleep beside the moonlit cove. The cool sand, the soft lullaby of water, and the watchful, cloudless sky wove a haven for dreaming, deeper than any bed or castle walls could give. Here, lulled by the world itself, he slipped into the embrace of night, a single dreamer sheltered by silver waves and unseen stars. The hush of night eased Link into slumber, the cove's lullaby carrying him beyond the edge of waking thought. Sleep, when it arrived, was wide and gentle, enfolding him in a tapestry woven from river songs and moonlit breezes. Within this ease, his mind shimmered open, reaching for the farthest corners of all that might be. In dreams, kingdoms blossomed at the touch of his imagination, rising from the soft darkness in vivid grace. Emerald valleys and azure lakes unfurled beneath soaring, honey-gold citadels. Link wandered vast fields where the grass whispered secret riddles and flowers curled like laughing children beneath feet light as hope. Towering trees, older than memory, green as trust, arched high above, their branches sheltering lantern-lit towns hidden among their leaves. Here, every shadow promised only gentle mysteries, every lamp a welcome beckoning home. On the dream's wind, the scent of adventure beckoned, mingled with the safety of deep rest. Link found himself sailing a lake that seemed made from polished glass, the boat gliding quietly without need of oars. Shores shifted and changed, sometimes stony and rugged, other times soft and wildflower-strewn. Upon distant banks, villages shimmered with the warmth of hearth fires and the glow of music drifting over the water. All the faces there welcomed him with smiles as familiar as old friends, even as their names slid dreamily from recall upon waking. Further on, under vast skies spilling over into dawn, Link followed winding roads that drew him through silken mists. Mountains rose blue and benevolent in the distance, their high meadows stepping upward to touch the edges of the stars. Castles, mossy and kind, loomed with gentle grandeur, welcoming him through gates carved with welcoming signs. Traveler, rest here. Adventurer, share our table. In these kingdoms, danger had no place. There were no monsters lurking, only puzzles solved in laughter, challenges that ended in shared feasts, and the soft embrace of music under the twilight. In another corner of his dreaming heart, meadows rolled into worlds unknown, distant lands where autumn leaves blazed in colors drawn from sunset, where waterfalls poured their secrets into deep blue pools, where hidden gardens flourished behind crumbling walls, each blossom bright with promise. Link wandered freely between them, gathering wisdom in the hush of ancient libraries, dancing with kindly spirits beneath lanterns that never dimmed. Everywhere, the stars watched kindly, their light a cool balm over his brow. Even the wind was gentle in these kingdoms, its voice whispering tales of kindness and small bravery, reassuring Link that he was welcome, loved, and at home, no matter how strange the lands he traveled. Laughter followed him, soft and joyful as bells chiming over far-off hills. Each dream wove warmth into his heart, a reminder that adventure could be gentle and safe, exploration as much about comfort as challenge. Link marveled at each new horizon, feeling not fear, but wonder, a sense of anticipation, softer than yearning, warmer than longing. Sometimes he floated high above the cloud-wreathed landscapes, gliding with birds whose feathers flashed gold and sapphire in the night's endless sky. Below, He saw the line of rivers blending into forests, meadows joining hands with orchards and fields, all things linked in peaceful kinship. At the edge of one dream, a bell tolled quietly, neither warning nor farewell. Instead, it sounded like a call to deeper peace. Link's bones felt as if they weighed nothing, his heart eased by the joys and gentleness of all he'd found. In these faraway kingdoms, every sleeping spirit was his companion, every path another invitation to joy. As dawn lingered at the world's threshold, even the dreams grew tender, their colors fading to soft gold. Link sensed a gentle presence at his side, the moon above, perhaps, or the cove itself, or an old friend seen in passing. Each lent him warmth enough to last the day ahead. Wrapped in wonder, Link rested at last, heart full and spirit touched by gentle adventures, certain that wherever sleep carried him, the kingdom of dreams would always be waiting, just beyond the embrace of night. Night deepened, tender and fathomless, as Link finally yielded to its gentle spell. Around him, the hush grew almost reverential, a balm to every restless thought, a lull for weary limbs. The air was cool and brushed against his skin, like the tickle of velvet leaves, fragrant with distant wood smoke and the clean hush of stream water coursing unseen beneath moss and stone. Overhead, a vault of stars shimmered on, untroubled by worldly hours and worries. Their slow, silvery dance lent a quiet promise that darkness here was simply another cradle, a softer setting for the journey's close. Link lay on a bank of grasses shaped by nights before him, and by the feet of gentle animals that had rested here too. His pack was tucked beside him, a silent witness to every mile behind. The fabric's familiar wornness anchored him. The faint leather scent mingled with the gentle perfume of the earth, and something faintly floral from a memory of the meadow's edge. He swallowed a last slow breath of the night air, each inhalation drawing serenity deep into his chest and letting it settle there, warm and safe. All around, quiet sounds became a lullaby for the end of all waking. The rhythmic whir of moths in the brush, the sighing shiver of willow leaves tangling shadows above his head, the hush of ripples against the riverbank slipping away under the moon's gaze. Even the gentle wind seemed to pause, its touch tracing stories from eaves to water, branch to stone. Link listened, not for meaning, but for comfort, allowing each note to dissolve whatever unrest lingered in spirit or mind. His hand fell gently to his side, and his lashes fluttered once, catching the last of the starlight before closing. Moments later, every muscle settled, untwisting from the last grip of wakefulness. The hero's breath eased into a slow, regular rhythm. Even thoughts seemed to float free, untethered now by aims or uncertainties, drifting instead like willow seeds above the silent cove. Link's heart, gentle and open from the day's adventures, beat quietly. Images flickered gently behind closed eyes. The shimmer of moonlight on rippling water, the laughter of villagers echoing in the distance, and the flutter of dappled sunlight through canopies. Each memory folded itself into another, softer and softer, until the edges grew hazy and indistinguishable from the warmth wrapped about him. The cloak at his shoulders, woven in the colors of sunset and meadow, shielded him not from chill, but from the worries that dusk sometimes ushered in. The cove, too, watched over him, a silent guardian that asked nothing of its guest. Even the river slowed its song in deference, as if it too understood the preciousness of rest. Somewhere, a gentle owl called, not with hunger or warning, but as a soft benediction, blessing the peace that hovered about the sleeping woods. Dreams came, if indeed they were dreams. Link drifted first through a sea of stars, their cold fire distant yet kind. Then came the memory of the ancient bridge, and the soft hush of grass underfoot, as he'd wandered meadows gilded by the setting sun. Each place and moment returned, but now were washed gentle by the night, all sharpness gone, transformed into gifts of comfort and belonging. Unburdened by quest or expectation, he moved through these spaces like a leaf in a slow-moving stream, held and guided by the current of the world's quiet grace. In that realm between waking and sleep, time ceased its gentle march. The moon rose higher, painting Link's profile in fleeting pearls of light. For a long while, nothing passed but the pulse of breath, as ancient and rhythmic as any lullaby sung by the rivers of Hyrule. He felt the weight of every soft word heard in the valley village, every embrace of wind within the whispering woods. Even the silent companionship of stars became a comfort more intimate than words. Eventually, even these last flickers faded, yielding to true rest. Link's spirit, weary no longer, floated in tranquil surrender, held not by the gravity of earth, but by something deeper and older that whispered of home. The world outside hushed its voice for him. The elements conspired to cradle him until morning's gentle golden haze. For tonight, in this tranquil cove by the soft-lit river, sleep was not only an ending, but a homecoming, a well-earned reprieve for hero and wanderer alike. All journeys led, at last, to this tender stillness, where adventure ended with a sigh, and the long night gathered him in, wrapping every hope and gratitude in the easy silence of dreams. Wrapped in serenity, embraced by the night's boundless grace, Link rested at last, peacefully adrift in the gentle kingdom between waking and sleep.